You're watching Expresso on SABC3, and we're looking at interesting ways in which open source software has kind of changed the world we live in. And I'm speaking to Philip Copeland from Turbo Cash Accounting. Philip, good to have you here once again.
Hi, Katleka.
You doing well?
Yes, I am. Thanks. Great to be here.
So let's try and understand the history of open source software. Where did it start?
Well, computer programs are all developed in a source code, a language that you can read, so something like Pascal. Then you take it and you compile it into an exe form, which is typically the software that we're used to using. Now, sometime late in the 20th century, people got this idea that if you closed off the source of the software, cornered a market, you could put up a huge castle and start charging license fees and make a lot of money. And that's how we ran for the most of the last 30 years. So people build up these huge castles with a master-servant type relationship with paying all of these fees. And that's how we ran, and it really stifled innovation. So now what open source software does is comes along and breaks that down, and it makes the source code and the exe available free of charge and free to distribute.
Yeah, but like you said, with the whole master and server, big corporations building these big castles, it seems to be where the money is open source software. Where do we see it in day-to-day kind of living?
Okay, well, now you can see open source software everywhere. I mean, the whole internet essentially runs on open source software. The vast majority of servers are Linux servers. In fact, without open source, it's not conceivable that the internet would have come about in the way that it has. Imagine that every time you'd wanted to put up a server or you had a new idea on the internet, you would have to go off and pay a couple of $1,000s to someone for a license to use it. Without that, we just wouldn't have had the innovation we've had. So it's in our face every day. In fact, today you can start a business, download Turbo Cash, download OpenOffice, download Firefox and Thunderbird, and you can start your business with software totally free. So it's everywhere.
Now, I remember having an interview with one of our kind of, computer experts, and we spoke about, let's say, the difference between free software in terms of antivirus and ones that are paid for. And the difference that we came across there was the guarantee that you have that once you've paid for something, there will be support afterwards, and that you'll be able to use it in that kind of supportive structure. Whereas if it's not paid for, then nobody's held accountable. So
yes, but what happens in that situation is you have a single source of service. So if you purchase a service, you purchase it from one company, you can't buy it from nowhere else. With open source software, you can get that service from anyone because the source code's open. If I had a problem with an accounting package, I could come to you and you could help me. So in fact, support on an open source package is greater. It's better.
Now, in terms of third world or developing countries rather, how can open source help?
Well, computer software is like the intelligence of your economy. It's the brain food that drives your software. In fact, often the only difference between a developed country and a non-developed country is the quality of the software that you have. And in that respect, we've really fallen far behind. We contribute less than 2% to the open source code, and we've become like a nation of installers of other people's software.
Wow. And we spoke about the earning potential of getting involved in open source software last time. Just break it down to practical things. How I come to you and I get this program for you, which is free, and I'm an accountant, ironically. And so how do I get from there to actually earning money using this?
Well, let's start. The first step is at the moment that you take that program for free, instead of paying an equivalent amount, in the case of Turbo Cash, you'd have to pay around about 10,000 Rand for an equivalent commercial product. If you did pay that 10,000 Rand to a commercial product, it's essentially an export of that revenue to a developed country where it'll create a job for a developer to carry on developing that country. If you keep the revenue in an open source stage, it stays here with you. You keep the 10,000 Rand, put it into your business, buy some stock, and already you've made a profit from dealing with us. And
then you hire out your services, and that's where you'd make your money from, obviously.
Well, you can make it from wherever way you want to sell it. It's the freedom that makes for the opportunity.
Wow. Philip, thank you very much for your time that you spent with us.
Right.
Thank you very much. So for more information, of course, you can visit our website, www.expressoshow.com. This is Expresso on SABC3.
TurboCash.net. Free accounting downloads.